So the next step in this process is to have your students create a logo for their hot dog company. Now, it's a very practical graphic design lesson. It's one of the most common things that customers ask graphic designers for. So it's a very practical use of their knowledge. So I have students usually sketch out many different styles of their logo before we get into Illustrator. So to save some time, I did this design. I've already taken a photo of it, and I'm going to show you in Illustrator right now how I brought it in and started creating a logo for Fancy Dogs Hot Dogs. So inside of Illustrator, I am going to create a new, and once again, I'm naming it last name. Now let's just say I'm in period 1, and this is underscore hot dog. And this is fine. The letter, let's go orientation, landscape, and like I said before, RGB is just fine, and we're going to create. So here we are. Now our next step is we want to bring in the hot dog drawing. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Place. Here we go. Here's that hot dog drawing, and I'm going to click on Place. And I'm just going to click and drag the size. I often tell my students to make it slightly bigger than you think you need it. We could always scale it down or up. Here we go. And the next thing you want to do, as you notice in the Layers panel right here, is we want to double click on that Layers panel, and we want to name this Drawing. And we are going to not only lock it, but we are going to dim the image to 50%, so that way when we use the pen tool right now to trace the hot dog, it doesn't confuse with the actual pen lines, the drawing lines. So we're gonna hit OK, and you can notice right here that it dimmed it. So now I'm gonna add a new layer. So go here, go to New Layer, and we're gonna name this Trace, or let's name it Pen. And I'm gonna hit OK. And now I got the pen selected. I'm gonna make sure that my fill is none, so cancel that, none. I'm gonna have a black stroke, and let's click P for the pen tool. I always tell my students to zoom in on the work that they're working on, so that way they have the best view possible. And we're gonna start using the pen tool here. So I'm gonna start off over here, and I'm gonna click and drag up, so that way I hit this mark and I got this curve. I'm gonna click and drag. One of the key things about using the pen tool is always, when you're using curves, go towards the curve. So right now I'm going right, so I'm gonna pull the handles right. As I click and drag, I'm going up, and I'm gonna drag my handle up. I'm gonna go over here to the right, so I'm gonna click and drag to the right. And don't worry about this, if it looks sort of awkward right here, we could always change that in just a moment with the direct selection tool. I'm gonna click right here, and I'm gonna bring it over here. That looks good to me right now. I'm gonna stop that line right there, and I'm gonna start tracing other lines, so I'm gonna hit Escape. So I end that section. I'm gonna zoom back in, and now I'm gonna start with the bun, the front side over here. So I'm going to have my pen tool still. I'm gonna click, and I'm gonna drag up and follow it. Click and drag, so I follow that. So once again, clicking and dragging, holding, drag, click and drag up to follow it, click and drag, click and drag. So once you're done using a pen tool here with these lines, I'm gonna hit Escape, and we're gonna select the Direct Selection tool, or A. I'm gonna zoom in, and what we could do with the Direct Selection tool is we could make sure that these lines intersect here. So I'm gonna click on this right here and make sure I drag it over to that hot dog over there. I'm gonna take the back area over here of this bun, and I'm gonna drag it to the hot dog right there. And let's Let's take a look here. There's another area right here, so click here and drag that area to the bun. I'm gonna take this right here and drag that to the bun as well. And you can also fix up some of these areas right here that look a little wonky as far as the hot dog goes. Here, we'll put that. That looks slightly better right there, and we'll bring this down here, which in turn, we have to move this down. Nice. So we have everything traced. Let's move this over just a little bit more. Zoom in. There we go. Command 0. And let's hide the drawing layer real quick. And let's go back. And there we have it. One more thing I want to do before I start adding color to it is I want to enclose this logo in a circle. So I'm going to click on our ellipse tool, which is L. And once again, we're going to have the fill at black, and we're going to have, or fill at none and the stroke at black, and I'm going to click Shift, and I'm going to hold Shift. You need to hold Shift in order to make that. And we're gonna have a circle right here. And the reason I wanna have this circle right here is because I want to type on this path, because I want the name of my company, Fancy Dogs, to go along this path of the circle. So as I have my path here, I'm gonna click on the type tool and hold, and I'm gonna type on path. And you have to wait until you see the word path to be able to click. And then I'm going to delete that and type in fancy at the top. And we're gonna do it all, for this purpose of this file right here, I'm gonna do fancy dogs all at the top area here. I'm going to highlight it so I could change the font. And we're gonna bring up the character panel. And we're going to change this font to something a little fancier, shall we say. And I'm going to make it slightly bigger, so that way it goes across the top right here. Couple things I want you to notice. It looks pretty centered right now, and you could take these and you could manipulate the way that it goes so you could center it more, and then add color, and then you could find something like this. So in the end here, we have our colored pieces right here of our hot dog, we have the text around the circle, and we have our colors right here. So I just like to add these color swatches so that way if I use it again, I know what colors that we have. In our next video, we're gonna combine the two together, the logo and the image of the hot dog, to create your social media ad.